You! Yeah, you! Have you accepted your Lord and Savior, Anime Jesus, into your heart? Wait, new friend. He died for your sins. The least you could do is hear me out. Hey! Open the door! Revelation 3:20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him, and will sup with him, and he with me. Well, this simply won't do. Ezekiel 25:17. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he, in the name of charity and goodwill, shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper, and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know I am the Lord, when I lay my vengeance upon you. Ah, that's much better. Now we can have a more intimate conversation. Are you like me, for real, and suffer from crippling levels of unmedicated ADHD? Now what if I told you there was a JRPG released all the way back in the prehistoric times of 2004, which not only has an ADHD gotta go fast button, but also has a straight up 9 out of 10 story, which will leave you smiling at the character's interaction throughout the majority of your playthrough. You'll even be smiling as you watch adults in their mid to late 20s and early 30s sexually harass and attempt to groom the two main characters, who are both 16-year-old minors. Which, if there's anything I've learned over the last few years, with the massive rise of YouTube drama content, adding a little minor grooming into your game just adds realism. All the leaked Discord DMs kinda speak for themselves. Let me tell you about The Legend of Heroes: Trails in the Sky, a game I was recommended by a subscriber that I've thoroughly enjoyed. It's a grid-based JRPG from the early 2000s, so the combat and graphics are very dated, but that's completely fine. Unlike modern-day Western developers making RPG video games, the Japanese mostly seem to remember the golden rule of RPG creation. A good story with simple combat and minimalist graphics has always and will always trump a dogshit story with flashy combat and state-of-the-art graphics. It's just the way it is. Trails in the Sky, like many games I enjoy, isn't a video game with a good story. It's a good book with video game elements. The kind of game where the intro is going to have you spending the first 30 to 40 minutes of playtime reading dialogue boxes. So be warned, if you suffer from Zoomer brain and need constant instant gratification to feed your dopamine addiction, you're gonna struggle. Like with every game I play, I started on the highest difficulty, Nightmare, and proceeded to nope out of there faster than a copy of pirated software after a bad pull in Dire Maul.
Do you see my mana? What am I supposed to do for you?
I've played games like this on the hardest difficulty before. I know this song and dance. I could see the writing on the wall after the first battle. For some reason, a lot of JRPGs seem to think difficulty increases shouldn't be skill-based, but instead based on how many hours you can spend killing mobs on the world map. And I had no interest turning a 40-hour game experience into a 100-hour one, where I would need to spend 60 extra hours grinding enemies and leveling up to pass the damage and HP stat requirements to fight the end-of-act bosses. So I played on the baby difficulty, and only had to do that for 8 hours instead. That way I could focus on the story. And boy, did I enjoy the story. So let me give you a disjointed, unhinged, and spoiler-filled retelling of the game's story, where I look up nothing to double check I got it right, and rely solely on my own brain's ability to recall names and events. Let's go. Okay, so the game is set in a small country called Liberl, who worship Adios. Adios? Anime Jesus. 10 years ago, the Ebola Empire invaded and nearly took over Liberl in an event known as the 100-Day War. But they were pushed back by the Liberalese, due to the advanced magical technology they had developed and the genius military tactics of a certain war hero known as the Divine Blade. So we have two main characters in this game. Estelle is the main character, and Joshua is the other main character. Estelle is a dumb and energetic tomboy archetype. I'm not crying. You're crying. Joshua, on the other hand, is the cool, calm, and collected, mysterious pretty boy archetype. Estelle and Joshua dream of being braces, like their father Cassius, who, from this moment on, shall be referred to as Chad Dad. Braces are just this world's adventurers. Like how every Japanese fantasy world needs an adventurers guild, in this world it's called the Braces Guild, but it's pretty much the same thing. The story begins on a dark and stormy night. Maybe. I don't actually remember, but that sounds pretty cool. An 11-year-old Estelle is waiting for Chad Dad to get home from doing bracer things, isn't it? But starts to get worried because he's very late. That's when Chad Dad finally arrives home with a gift for his daughter. It's an 11-year-old boy named Joshua. That's a pretty cool gift. Chad Dad adopts Joshua as his son. So he and Estelle train together to become braces and grow up as siblings for the next 5 years. From the start of the game, it's obvious Joshua has feelings for his sister, though Estelle is too dense to notice and has him firmly placed in the "you're literally like a brother to me" zone. But as the story progresses, she starts to notice how she truly feels about Joshua, which turns out is a little less "you're like a brother to me" and a little more "help me stepbro, I'm a little stuck." The gameplay actually starts when Estelle and Joshua are both 16 years old, on the day of the Bracer exam to officially become junior bracers, allowing them to start taking on jobs for the Bracers Guild. They say goodbye to Chad Dad and head to the guild to do their exam. That's where they meet Chad Dad's student and Estelle and Joshua's bracer mentor. I think her name was Sriracha or something. I know for sure it started with an S, but my brain just always called her Dommy Mommy. She's an alcoholic, fortune-telling gypsy woman who was either in her late 20s or early 30s. She has a sadistic personality towards those she fights, wielding a whip as her main weapon. Also, a tendency to strip completely naked and start dancing when she's drunk. Let's make sure not to forget the times where she propositions the 16-year-old Joshua for sex as well. A very mentally stable woman who it's definitely 100% safe to leave your underage kids with. Don't even worry about it. The exam is the start of the tutorial quest. Go around, talk to NPCs, learn things, and get taught some of the game systems. Like learning about orbital armaments. It's the magical tech that uses magical crystals to allow you to do magical things. Very magical, indeed. After Joshua and Estelle finish their exams, they are given their junior bracer badges and celebrate by saving some missing kids from monsters in a mysterious ruin left by a super magically advanced precursor civilization, only to make a rookie mistake at the last second and have to be saved by Chad Dad. They then report back to the guild that they saved the children, return home and give Chad Dad a letter from the guild. It's work. Chad Dad has received a super important, super secret super mission and has to leave home for an unknown period of time. And that's the end of the prologue and the start of Act 1. Act 1's story has Estelle and Joshua starting their junior bracer work, which leads them to working a job for the town's mayor. Some miners dug up a rare, big, shiny magic rock, and the mayor wants you to go get it for him, so he can give it to the queen for her upcoming birthday bash. Once they return to the mayor with their hard and shiny surprise, they meet a definitely not suspicious girl in school uniform, already speaking to him in his office. So Estelle and Joshua and the 100% kosher schoolgirl watch the mayor place the big magical stone in his safe and lock it. Everyone leaves, and would you believe it, some people break in and steal the crystal. Who on earth could have seen this coming? Let's take a guess who it was. A. Was it the mayor pulling an insurance scam? B. The Sky Bandit disguised as a schoolgirl? Or was it's B. So they team up with Sriracha Whip Lady and chase them down. Beat them up, get the gem back, but oh no! The Sky Bandit girl's Sky Bandit brother rolls up in his skyship to rescue his Sky Bandit sister, and they fly away into the sky. And you were so close to arresting them as well. Such a shame. Once you report back to the guild and give them the rundown on what happened, you receive a Bracer recommendation. You need one recommendation from each branch of the Bracers Guild and Liberal to become a full-fledged Bracer. But a phone call comes into the guild. There's a problem. All airship travel has been shut down by the military to search for an airship that has been hijacked by the Sky Bandits you encountered. Even worse, it's the airship that Chad Dad was meant to be on. So, not knowing Chad Dad's fate, Estelle and Joshua set out on their adventure to become real Bracers and look for their missing father on the way. Not gonna lie, I can't remember if the airship was hijacked at the start of this act or at the end of it, but it definitely happened in this act, and that's about as much accuracy as you should expect from me. Act 2 was something about a military checkpoint and a red-haired dude. Or maybe this was Act 3. Whatever. He's an ex-small-time gangster who, behind his rude speech and mean-looking exterior, has a heart of gold and just wants to look out for those around him in his own unique way. He's also a full-fledged Bracer who uses a greatsword. He's a bit of a dick, but compared to the moral compass of the blonde bard guy you're gonna meet soon, he's an absolute angel. The whole plotline for Act 2, I'm pretty sure, is you want to get info from the military about the missing airship. But the military are being giant dicks about it, because General Morgan, head of the military base, hates Bracers. What did Bracers do to him, you wonder? Did they kick his dog? Did they shit in his cereal? Did they cuck him as hard as that one police station cucked the dude whose wife's face got plastered all over the internet for a while? No. He hates Bracers because Chad Dad left the military after the 100-Day War to become one. Chad Dad was such a Chad, even in the military, that his commanding officer at the time, General Morgan, now hates an entire profession over it. Speak to the mayor, then speak to the general. Get some info, then get thrown out once he realizes you're Bracers. Before you speak to the general, however, you'll have to wait at a tavern just outside the fort. That's where you meet a blonde-haired, bisexual, intelligence agent, musician from the Ebola Empire, who likes to joke about having sex with minors, mostly directed towards Joshua. So your standard D&D bard player. Every time one of the characters you're meant to like makes sexual advances towards Estelle or Joshua, it's very obvious that they're joking, and just teasing them to make them feel awkward. But, I'm sorry, Your Honor, the Discord messages I sent were just jokes. I wasn't really trying to have sex with this 16-year-old boy. I swear. Doesn't hold up so well in court. Sky Bandit steal some stuff from town? Meet Colonel Richard, who I instantly figured out was the game's main antagonist. Look at this fucking sussy baka. Track down the Sky Bandits for a while, do a spot of fishing, see them talking to some mysterious figures dressed in black, then infiltrate their secret base by stowing away on their ship. Beat up the bandits. After beating up the Sky Bandits boss, he seems like a different person, who can't remember anything they did. Rescue the hostages? But Chad Dad is nowhere to be found. Turns out he never even got on the airliner. When you're reporting to the guild and let them know the Sky Bandit situation is over, there is a mysterious package containing a jet black MacGuffin addressed to you from Chad Dad. Act 3. An orphanage gets burnt down. It turns out it was the evil mayor, who seemed like a pretty good guy. You bring him to justice with the help of a schoolgirl who turns out is the Queen's granddaughter and secret heir to the throne. Only to find out, just like the Sky Bandit's boss, he seems to be under the effects of mind control. Also, the mysterious people in black were behind this as well. Oh, wait. There's also a school play in this act where Joshua cross-dresses as a princess and is kissed by the Queen's granddaughter, who is cross-dressing as a knight, which makes Estelle, who is also cross-dressing as another knight, jealous, so she comes to understand her feelings about Joshua better, but it turns out they didn't kiss at all, and they just made it look like they did. Act 4. You go to a big manufacturing town that makes all the magical tech stuff. Save a very young girl, and take the MacGuffin you got at the end of Act 2 to her grandfather. He's the kingdom's lead inventor and researcher of the magical orbital gadget things. Also a student of the man who invented orbital tech, the world's most famous inventor, Epstein. May he rest in peace. Grandfather Guy starts working on the MacGuffin. You hit up a hot springs with the little girl. She trauma dumps something about her parents. I'm gonna be honest. I accidentally Twitch clicked at that part and missed the dialogue, so I actually don't know what happened to them. Grandpa gets kidnapped along with a MacGuffin. We track them down, and oh, would you look at that? The CIA and that sussy barker, Colonel Richard, are behind everything. Turns out, the Glowies are planning to use the MacGuffin in a coup d'etat against the sitting president. Wait, sorry, I meant to say Queen. So, after most of the feds have fucked off to the Capitol to enact their evil Glow Boy plans, you rescue the grandpa dude, with the help of a little girl with a rocket launcher, and the red-headed ex-gangster bracer guy. Then, the old man asks us to go to the Capitol and deliver a message to the Queen about the treasonous plot of the CIA director, Colonel Richard. Act 5. The Epilogue. The feds have already started their coup, so it's impossible to get in to see the Queen. We gotta find some way to sneak in, but the palace is locked down tighter than a joke I just removed and added to a Google Doc titled, "Okay, that's a bit too far." So we gotta get creative if we wanna slip inside. Lucky for us, there is a tournament being held in the capital, and the first prize is a feast and staying the night in the royal palace. So it's time for the mandatory anime tournament arc. Normally the Queen hosts the tournament, but she can't make it because she's not feeling very well. So it's up to her relative, who the CIA is trying to install as the new king, to host the event. So you meet this Duke guy a bunch of times throughout the story. He's the fat, dumb, egotistical, elitist noble stereotype. He's an absolute dick. And once Estelle and Joshua get into the castle, you realize all the mayors you have interacted with in the game so far, other than the one who burned down the orphanage to build luxury apartment complexes, are there as well. Join in the feast, and the glowy leader, Colonel Richard, announces the Queen is abdicating due to her health, and is passing the position on to the dickhead Duke. And no, you can't see her in person to double check. Sounds very reasonable, if you ask me. Estelle and Joshua meet up with the head maid, and she helps them disguise themselves as palace maids, which Joshua is none too pleased with. Get sexually harassed by the CIA agents guarding the Queen, then finally get to meet the Queen. She asks you to go save her granddaughter, who the feds are holding hostage to make sure she complies with their demands. But on the way back, they bump into the drunk Duke. But he just thinks they're normal maids and doesn't recognize them. Though, he does tell the 16-year-old Estelle to come to his room later because he wants to have sex with her. So, after you leave the castle, you put together a team of bracers from the guild and royal guards, who you have also met, but I forgot to talk about until now, to go and rescue the princess, save her, then turn back around and save the Queen, and defeat the CIA once and for all. Which you also do. But head Glowboy Colonel Richard has already left down an elevator to some secret ruins of the advanced precursor civilization I spoke of earlier. He's going to use the MacGuffin to unlock an ancient weapon given from the gods themselves in the days of old. So powerful that even the precursor civilization noped out of using it and sealed it away. You win the fight against him, but it's too late. The MacGuffin has already activated, and you receive a message. One of the 3 seals has been broken. Luckily, the ancients created a failsafe device to fix the seal. Unlucky for everyone here though, it's a giant robot who's gonna kill everyone first. And so, the final boss battle begins. You beat it up in 3 separate battles. After the first 2, Colonel Richard comes to your aid. Turns out, the CIA director himself was under the effects of MK Ultra mind control. The game is nearly over, but the plot just keeps getting thicker. The party is on their last legs, exhausted after 2 consecutive battles against the giant robot boss. Colonel Richard is trying to fight it himself, yelling for everyone to run, that it's his fault, so he'll stay behind. But he slips up and the boss gets a hold of him and slowly begins to crush Colonel Richard in his iron robo grip. Then he appears and cuts the robot's hand clean off. He's someone you have heard more and more about as you have progressed through the story. Those you have spoken to who have met him in person sing his praises to the heavens. This man was a lieutenant general in the Royal Army of Liberal. He was the military genius whose strategies ended the 100-Day War. While serving his country, he was given the moniker of the Divine Blade. After leaving the military, he became one of the only 4 S-rank bracers in the world. A living legend. A true god amongst men. Cassius motherfucking Bright. That's right, Chad Dad's back. With the timely intervention of Chad Dad, he gives you the moment you need to finish off the boss. Fun fact, Colonel Richard was Chad Dad's direct subordinate in the military, and idolized Chad Dad so hard, he thought the only way the Liberal Kingdom could survive another invasion without Chad Dad was to acquire an ancient weapon with godly levels of destructive power. That is some pretty high praise. But upon hearing this, Chad Dad punches Colonel Richard in the face and basically tells him to man up, stop being a baby, and just become a true Chad himself. We now time skip to the Queen's birthday festival, which has been an ongoing plot point since Act 1. Estelle and Joshua are enjoying the festival, and it's getting obvious they are soon gonna talk about their feelings for each other. It's at this point I feel a little weird about how invested I've gotten into wanting to see two 16-year-olds get together. But Estelle loses her nerve at the last minute and runs away. Then, a very normal archaeologist you have met a bunch of times throughout the game that I completely forgot to mention appears. Then proceeds to reveal to Joshua he and his secret organization he is a part of were behind everything that's happened. And everything, even the main character's victory, went exactly according to their plan. We then enter the final scene of the game. Set that night, Estelle goes to find Joshua because he's been acting weird since she ran off. When she finds him, he reveals his past he has kept hidden from her. He was a child assassin, trained and groomed by a mysterious organization. He's killed many, many people. He was picked up by Chad Dad after he failed to assassinate him. And this whole time, he's been a sleeper agent relaying information on Chad Dad to this organization without even realizing it. He vows to make things right and leave to destroy the organization himself. Estelle calls him an idiot, tells him she loves him. They kiss. Estelle begins to grow weak. Joshua slipped a paralyzer into her mouth when they kissed. She falls to the floor, unable to move. Joshua tells her from the first moment they met, he's always loved her. But she deserves better than a monster like him. Credits roll. And the trailer video for The Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky, SC begins to play. What a wonderful story. And who would have seen that ending twist coming? I knew Joshua had some secrets, but I was expecting it to be that he was a prince of the Ebola Empire who was chased away in a power struggle as a child and saved by Chad Dad. I thought the CIA were behind everything, but it was an even more mysterious and powerful intelligence agency manipulating the CIA. A group that uses MK Ultra mind control to have innocent people further their agenda through assassination of key political figures and the use of terrorist attacks to change the landscape of the world to unlock the secrets of an ancient prophecy. There's only one group I know that matches this description. Mossad. That's right, this whole time the people who have been behind everything were the Jews. I rate this game number 1 on the New York Times bestseller list. Over. These were all jokes, and I am in no way, shape or form planning to take my own life. This game wasn't what I expected when I first started playing. It's somehow a good wholesome Christian anime coming-of-age story, while also having themes of government corruption, the sexual harassment of minors, and MK Ultra mind control. I had a fantastic time, and I very much look forward to playing the next one. If you want to pick up a copy of this game, it's $24.99 AUD on Steam, or $19.99 USD in a real country's money. Cheap CD key websites have it listed for around $5 USD. So, you meet... Host the event. So, you meet this Host the event. So, you meet this Duke. Host the event. So, you meet this... Host the event. So, you meet this Duke. Host the event. So, you meet this Duke. Host the event. So you make this Duke. So you make this Duke. So you make this Duke. Host the event. So you make this Duke guy. Duke. Host the event. So you make this Duke guy. What the fuck is wrong with me? Host the event. So you met this. Host the event. So you met the. Host the event. So you meet this Duke guy. Nice.